The episode we are covering today is Season 1, Episode 17, The Stairmaster. It's the episode in which Fluttershy volunteers to watch after the kids, the Cutie Mark Crusaders, for an evening for a sleepover. But then trouble runs amok as a cockatrice shows up and is like, and Fluttershy has to overcome her fears to save the children and also Twilight and Elizabeth. Actually, I do. It's right here, Lord Harriman. Why do you ask? So, this is the first time we really do anything with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, for real. Which is funny in its own right, since they're going to get a lot of screen time. As I've already commented on, they were actually supposed to get their own spin-off show, so basically all of the episodes that they had already kind of worked on when it comes to the spin-off show that they were going to make ended up becoming episodes here. That being said, thinking about this with the advantage of hindsight, I'd like to say that it's probably a good idea that they didn't get that spin-off show, because basically all of their episodes are, let's go get our cutie marks. And it's like, okay, there's only so many times you can do the same plot in a row before it gets tiresome. If you don't believe me, look at Star Trek Voyager. Will they get home again? No. Yeah, right? So, we'll see. We'll see what they think of them going forward. I'm going to try and take each episode as we go, and we'll see what we think of it. So, one little tidbit I want to toss out here, probably completely unintentionally done, but you'll notice Sweetie Belle goes to pick up the ribbon from the top of the shelf. Doesn't use her horn, doesn't use the telekinesis. She just reaches up to grab it, which causes her to knock everything over, which causes a big mess. Now, I mean, she's a kid. Kids do dumb things. But funnily enough, there's actually that's going to be something that'll come up later, as we will discover in a future episode, Twilight Time, I believe, specifically. There will be a bit where we find out that Sweetie Belle and most young unicorns' magic is actually severely undeveloped. That, to put it in simple terms, their strength isn't there. I mean, if I was to arm wrestle my niece right now, I'd probably win. That's a bad example because I have tons of upper body strength, but you get the point, right? It makes a degree of sense that their telekinesis would get stronger and keep developing as they keep developing. So I'm actually kind of with that. Just little world building tidbit I wanted to throw out there. Actually, I have let my niece win at this several times. I let her win right up until she started bragging about it. And I was like, okay, one more. And she's like, okay. And I didn't win. I just sat here like this. So then she put two arms, and then she basically started leaning on my arm. And I mean, I could lift her with one arm. So I'm just like, yep. She was laughing too hard, so she ended up having to stop. Anyway, so gold silk. I'm trying to think of what would be required to make gold silk. We know that gold isn't super valuable. It's not like we value it in real life, but it is still something that's valued, and that will actually come up in the future. So I find myself actually curious how she procured that much gold and how she wove that into silk. I'm actually ignorant of that. I don't know how she could have done that. It's also entirely possible it's just gold appearing rather than being gold. I don't know. But there's a couple of tidbits I'm going to kind of skip over. I want to talk about those towards the end of the episode, so we'll just kind of over those for the moment. I do like this one little tidbit. Hi, Fluttershy. Hi, Rarity. Tonight's the night we find our special talent, even if it takes us all night. They get their special talents like season 5, right? 5 years from now, or whatever that is in lore. Oh, hey, Sanchrist. Welcome to the stream. It is good to see you again. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole night, so yeah, that makes sense. So meanwhile, Rarity is overworked again. I'm sure you noticed that. You notice it's even worse than that, though, because she was already over budget. In fact, she already admits that she had bit off more than she could chew before she found out that Sweetie Belle had taken parts of the gold silk to use for her outfits for the kids. So, she was already overworked, and now she has to overwork even more than previous in order to stay up and make more gold silk in order to... Yeah. Just saying, kind of relate. So the kids are kids. Just kind of skip forward a bit. I do kind of like that every single group of people in this episode bite off more than they can chew. Like Venter's bit off way more than he could chew there. He has no idea how the Suikoden 5 run will go. But I will show him. Oh, yes. I will show him. Anyways. Oh, yeah, suicide while we're here. Let's get that out of the way for the YouTube bots. Thank you very much, by the way, Venters. I'm sure that the thing shouldn't show up. It's not supposed to show up. I don't even have my headphones on, you'll notice. I only noticed it because it popped up in chat. Yeah, the Suikoden 5 run, to be clear, I actually do not, as of this exact moment in time, have the ability to do that. I think I have a method, but it currently is not working. So we'll see how that goes. Still working on it, because someone else requested a PS2 game as well, and we'll get there. So, where was I? I like how every group in this episode bites off more than they can chew, which is the obvious Aesop of this episode, by the way. What is it? Fluttershy, obviously Rarity bit off more than she could chew. She even says that phrase flat out. Fluttershy did with the kids, and the kids do when they go into the Everfree Forest. And Twilight does when she deals with the cockatrice. So everyone involved bites off more than they can chew. You could argue even the cockatrice bites off more than it can chew when it decides to go after Fluttershy rather than, leaving. Anywho, so then something happened, which I have to admit, just pulled a huge grin onto my face, because I've seen kids do exactly this. Whoever wrote this episode actually did a good job with the kids. They all get up, and the two of them get up, and they're like, "Arr! You will never capture me. I am far too powerful and dangerous. I'm gonna get you. I'm a cutie mark creature capture. Yes, that's awesome. I don't have words for it. If you've ever actually seen kids play, that is super spot on. And yeah, then they tried the carpentry, which starts with a C, and the coal miner, which starts with a C. The chicken rescuers, the chicken coopers, it all starts with C. I noticed that too. I like to think, by the way, that Fluttershy actually does play the shush game. What do you guys think? Like, that wasn't just her trying to quiet the kids down. That she really does play the stay quietest, the longest game with people. Because that's such a rarity. That's such a Fluttershy kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, she would totally do that. All right, little baby girl. You be quiet, and I'll be quiet too. Probably the animals, Lord Harriman. Either that or other shy ponies who she is mysteriously friends with. I don't know who she's playing with. Somebody, come on. She's got to play games with somebody. Other than Rainbow. So then Sweetie Belle, she finally gets him to go to sleep. And Sweetie Belle's like, I know this one. Hush now, quiet now. Surprisingly decent song. Two things are established here. The first thing that's established is that Apple Bloom's actress sings for Sweetie Belle. It's actually really obvious in this episode. That is clearly Apple Bloom's actress. I actually heard it, then decided to look it up and confirm that yes, that is actually her. I forget her name. But that's the one who plays Apple Bloom singing for her. Good singer, though. But the funny, interesting thing, though, is you're paying any kind of attention, you'll notice that the other two, Scootaloo and Apple Bloom, when they see, oh, I know this one, they immediately are like, oh, no, she's going to start singing. What do we do? Which establishes, in a very quiet sort of a way, that Sweetie Belle has already sung for them. So they already know she can sing. And it also establishes that she can sing and she's a good singer. All of that is interesting because it actually is establishing for the next episode, but I don't know if that was on purpose, because Lord knows, continuity across episodes isn't always linear because they don't always make episodes linearly, right? I mean, just to speak to the Lore Walker Theater I'm doing right now, I just this morning did work on chapter 7, 10, 3, and 6 in that order. So it's entirely possible that's not deliberate, but at the same time, it's amusing to think about. So Fluttershy goes out, and they're all running around with the chickens. And this is the official moment you can tell that Fluttershy has lost patience. Because she actually raises her voice. You got that, right? Girls! And everyone's like, huh? She also uses the stare on the chickens. So that's officially the moment where she's like, okay. I don't know, Sinister Wing, honestly. I don't know much about the thing. But yeah, they actually stopped when she raised her voice. Because Fluttershy raised her voice. Anywho, so they go to bed. We totally promise we'll go to bed. Again, I'm building up to a point, which I'll get to in a minute. And she goes to lay down, and she realizes it's too quiet, and she has to go check on the kids. And that's a really minor point, but I like it because that is absolutely true. Anybody who's ever done full-time care of a young child knows that one of the most terrifying sounds is nothing. That means something's wrong or they're asleep. One of the two. When I was watching the little one full time and I would hear nothing, it would wake me up like that. Just instantly. Like, I say wake me, that's the wrong word. But, it would get me up like, go check on her. She's just playing quietly with the thing. Okay. What's wrong, Uncle Lore? I'm just checking on you. Just do quiet. Yeah, there's like an inner alarm that just goes off there when that happens. I can't even explain it. I have actually woken up in the middle of the night sometimes and not realized why until I went to check on her, because that's my first thought. Anyways, so she rushes up. Oh my God! She immediately identifies that one of the chickens is gone by name, whose name is Elizabeth. Anyways, it's okay though. It's okay. Because we found out the Cutie Mark Crusaders' special talent is arguing. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Fox News. I do have to mention, though. Oh, I'm sure, Savicon. I do have to mention. What? This is going to sound weird, but do you think anyone has a cutie mark in arguing in the world? Because, I mean, obviously, there's the whole harmonic pattern thing I talked about many times, but it kind of depends on how they define arguing. Like conversation, debating, sure, but arguing, I don't know, right? Or maybe it's just politicians. Actually, I'm not sure if there's any legality when it comes to Ponyville. I mean, that comes up during the trading episode, the barter episode, but that's just settled by the princess. So, yeah, that's why it's like debating. Like, okay, yeah, there's just a picture of Phoenix Wright doing this, and that's the thing. Anyways, it got me thinking because, as weird as this may sound, if my theories about the nature of the harmonic resonance thing are actually true, there would be certain things that basically are not cutie marks, that could never be cutie marks by their very nature. And true arguing, which is just yelling at each other, basically, probably would not be on that list. No, Sinister Wing. So, anyways, sorry, something to think about. So this is when I'm going to mention something that I've been taking notes on throughout the entire episode. Yeah, there's no evil. There's no Dr. Wily cutie marks. Although there should be. No, so I've already mentioned that the kids were super cute earlier and well written. Honestly, I think for the most part, the kids are actually exceptionally well written in this whole episode. This might be the second best Cutie Mark Crusader episode for me, mostly just on the strength of exactly how well they're written. Because, speaking as someone who has taken care of very young kids for several years now, this is spot on, right? Let's look at the list here, because I wrote down a few. First of all, they're very energetic, of course. They don't really know when they're tired. That's an obvious one. But if we move forward, they don't understand certain things. For example, when Sweetie Belle takes the golden silk, she does that in ignorance. She didn't know that it was anything special, and she didn't know Rarity needed it for some big job tonight. She just saw something pretty and said, oh, that'll be pretty for this, and decided to use it. It didn't occur to her to ask, because she's a kid. I mean, I know that sounds like a strange thing to comment on, but that is fairly accurate. Let's go adventuring in the Everfree Forest. This is again a form of ignorance, a lack of understanding of the nature of how deadly and dangerous that place can be, as we see in this very episode. They end up breaking the table. Well, this is actually not paying attention, which is also another very common trait amongst adults too, but especially amongst children. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a young one, mine or someone else's, basically bump into, break, or run into something just because they weren't paying full attention, which is, of course, duh, right? Then flagrant lying about not crusading at night, because, I mean, why would that be a bad thing? It's not like they're doing anything wrong. They're just going to go crusading and get their cutie marks. Then we have a total lack of understanding of fear of the cockatrice. When Fluttershy shows up and is panicked, like, oh God, you don't understand there's a cockatrice. And their response is, oh, that sounds silly. I bet I'd laugh first time I see it. And then finally, when they actually do encounter the cockatrice, they are legitimately terrified, and they just run around screaming because they have no idea what to do. I know it sounds strange, but this reminded me of a conversation I had recently on Discord about Jar Jar Binks. Hello, Unparalleled. Because Jar Jar Binks was badly written in episode 1. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay that out there, right? He was designed not to be childlike, but to be annoying. That's not supposition, by the way. You can look up the interviews where George Lucas talks about how he was designed to be irritating. You can look that up. That's fact, not opinion. So, if Jar Jar Binks had been written like the kids in this episode, I think he would have worked a lot better, because childlike works better than childish when it comes to writing fiction. Now, it's also worth noting it's actually pretty hard to write childlike. That's why I keep mentioning this point and keep giving praise to this episode for managing that very special brand of ignorance combined with energy combined with lack of understanding, which is why I pointed out all those things I just did. Yeah, you'll also notice Fluttershy, who was terrified, forgot all that to protect the kids. And you'll also notice she didn't actually pull out the stair until she basically had to. That's important for two reasons. Number one, responsibility with the power that she has. And number two, the fact that she manned up when she had to, I mean, courage, etc., bravery, etc., that kind of a thing. So it's a good stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah, even when she was turning to stone, she still managed to do something. Well, see, what the stair is, Sinister Wing. So, yeah, she says, behind me now! And, I hope you enjoy. We'll be playing it again later this afternoon, Unparalleled. So she deploys a high-yield stair, broad spread, outstairs a cockatrice. Think about that for a second. And manages that and blah, 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 blah. And then the episode wraps up and Twilight's like... Now, what I do like... Actually, sorry, there's one last thing I wanted to mention here. I do like the fact that Twilight says, I was wrong, you managed it. And Fluttershy corrects her. No, you were right. I did bite off more than I could chew. I did overextend myself. And I like that they bothered to make that point, because she's right. Never, Unparalleled. Never. So, that's a good message to get across. Because this is, once again, one of those situations where it would be very easy to go with the easy Aesop, right? It would be easy to go with the easy message. I bit off more than I could chew, but then I totally managed it. It's more like, I bit off more than I could chew, and I barely managed it. I got lucky. I like that, because it's a more realistic take on it. And again, more complex storytelling. Then Rarity shows up, and we have another wah-wah debatable here. Because Rarity shows up, and she doesn't show her right side until she shows that Opal is just clinging. And can I just say wah-wah, or not wah-wah, sorry. Can I just say Opal totally sucks? Opal is just the worst pet of all the pets. What in the world? And yeah, they literally are like, "Oh, can you do it right now?" And they even laugh as the camera fades out. I think that qualifies as a wah-wah. Angel's bad moments are mostly over as of now, I think, Savicom. Like, I'm trying to remember, because I remember thinking that myself, and then we moved forward, and like, oh, Angel starts being a lot better. I mean, there's the episode with Angel and Spike. I like Angel in that episode. But we'll get there. Apparently, we haven't hit Angel's worst. I don't remember where it is. I'll freely admit that. I know there's one episode where Angel really pisses me off. But anyways, so yeah, I think that qualifies as a wah-wah, personally. I think that absolutely qualifies. So we'll go ahead and add this. It's like Pretzel. You know, we'll add Pretzel to the list. Because he's awesome. Thank you very much, Pretzel. Much oblige and appreciate. Thank you. And I'll put that towards Grandia 1. You got it. I was just about to ask. So, I think that totally counts as a wah-wah. So, let's go ahead and add this. Someone asked if we should use Roman numerals for this. So sure, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll go ahead and do that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're up to there, over there. There you go. We'll start doing Roman numerals, because I have a feeling that some of those numbers are going to get a whole lot higher. Anyways,